Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We're going back to that horrible world known as the JRC. But before we do, the usual disclaimers. And as always with the last few videos, I'm going to warn you in advance. Allergies issues are going to be allergy issues. And as per usual, Missouri can't decide whether it's going to be a blazing hot summer day, whether there's going to be a storm, whether it's going to be rain, whether there's going to be snow. So, yeah, allergies are just like wreaking havoc on my general life. So, if you hear me clear my throat or I have to stop a moment because you gross mucus, apologies for that in advance, folks. I can't help it. It's been pretty brutal for the last few days. I'm just glad that the headache that I woke up with this morning, the sinus headache from hell, is finally gone. For now. For now. We'll see, right? Also, we may be interrupted by a knock at the door. That is because Mama needs more coffee and tea. So, apologies for that. Too, you might have to look at my pajama pants because it's my day off and I can look like a bum if I wanna. That being said, alright, to the disclaimers. In the description box, you can find a link to the article that the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center doesn't want you to read. It's written by NeuroClastic, a small non-for-profit started by autistics for autistics, wherein they interviewed and surveyed over 900 ABA professionals in regards to the JRC's so-called behavior modification program. Matter of fact, the JRC doesn't want you to read this article so much they have threatened NeuroClastic with a defamation lawsuit if they did not remove it from the website. Well, folks, NeuroClastic has refused, so you know the drill. Please read that article and share it on all your social media. Also linked in there, you're going to see NeuroClastic's public statement in regards to the defamation lawsuit threat, as well as a link to their GoFundMe. We are crowdfunding in case the JRC actually has the balls to see through with their threat. We have linked in there the Ozarks' first article in regards to the Agape boarding school, now known as Stone for Help boarding school situation. This is a so-called Christian-themed boarding school based out of Stockton, Missouri that takes in so-called troubled male teens that has impending, folks, over 25 civil lawsuits, claims, and allegations leveled against it, all which have been substantiated by the Missouri Department of Social Services, and they include the following: sodomy, rape, sexual assault, child abuse, psychological and emotional abuse, child trafficking, starvation, and that's just for starters. You have one former staff member arrested by the FBI, another a doctor who still lives on the premises, full access to the boys up on multiple, again, substantiated claims of sodomy, rape, and sexual assault of the boys there. You've got an attorney general who's too busy blaming drag queens for, like, literally everything, even things that they have nothing to do with. And, defunding public libraries so that people out in rural areas who are children don't have access to free books to read to actually, do his job. And you've got a governor completely off his nut. You've got a senator who's defending child brides. I live literally in GOP hell. Please circulate this article, and for the love of God, get me out of here. I don't think I can emphasize that enough. This is what life is when you live paycheck to paycheck. You can't just get up and move states because yours has turned into hell. You have to sit here and watch it descend further into madness because you don't have enough money to GTFO. It's not fun, folks. So Missouri GOP, you people who want to sit there online and tell me how I should just get out, well, pay up, pal, because that's the only way that's going to happen. Sorry. I just get tired of it. Well, why don't you just move? With whose money? Mine? Mine can... I can't even afford to move into another apartment in my own city, dude. What makes you think I'm going to be able to pull the money out of my hind parts to be able to get out of this state? Just saying. Anyways, sorry about the ramble. We also got the other pertinent links to the Stop the Shocks campaign as well, including Autistic Hoya's massive archive on the subject, Jennifer Masemba's behavioral sheet of shockable offenses, a clip out of the 7-hour ordeal undergone by Andre McCollins back in 2002, the templates in the ever-present and, self-explanatory change.org Shut the Judge Rotenberg Center Down petition. When we discuss the JRC, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips of surveillance footage of people with disabilities being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, folks, please use your headphones, all right? Disclaimer. This channel is marked not for children for a reason. We use profanity on occasion. We speak on dark subjects. If your child is 16 and younger and they are watching this, very obviously parental supervision is very much advised. Trigger warning, we are about to once again descend into the mad, egotistical, condescending, lunatic mind as known as Dr. Matthew Israel. We're going to hear gaslighting, victim blaming, pseudoscience and lies, abuse and torture apologencia, all from a man with a massive ego and even larger God complex. So folks, be prepared for the condescending, arrogant, full-chested stupid that we're getting ready to endure here. MDRI has interviewed providers who serve individuals once detained at the JRC. JRC is not a correctional facility. Well, you could have fooled me. You could have fooled me. Because let's see here. You put on restraints to school, from school. You put on restraints that are in the capacity of the GED at all times. You starve them. You sleep deprive them. You have random staff come out and accost them at random areas and you call it therapy. You don't act like it's a school doctor. You act like it's your own personal freaking laboratory. Like a correctional facility turned mad experiment. If it's not a correctional facility, why do you continuously treat the students like they're prisoners? Matter of fact, these kids get treated worse than prisoners. But they're not going to tell you that. Let's read the rest of this garbage, shall we? Students are placed at JRC by their school districts and parents to receive an education and effective treatment. Those poor people. Because if you call what you do there an education and effective treatment, I don't know what to tell you. It's not an education if by the time you graduate out of there, there's not an actual diploma in your hand. It's not effective treatment when if you remove the fear factor, the behavior returns, which means your treatments are not actually effective. It means your education doesn't even meet your state criteria for high school graduation. And what's your defense of this? Oh, that's right, you don't have any. The providers who serve individuals once detained at JRC are actually competitors of JRC who would benefit from a negative MDRI report on JRC. Oh, for God's sake. Explain this to me, Dr. Israel. Are you trying to tell me that you actually have the balls to sit there and try to say that a organization as large, full throughout the country, a national organization who's been around as long and with such a wide scope as the ARC, is going to benefit from a negative report on the JRC? How, doctor? How? Because ARC has offices, unlike you, literally everywhere. They've got them in the rural areas. They've got them in the big cities. There's an ARC everywhere, doctor. They serve thousands and thousands of consumers. every single year at every single place along the line of the individual's life. And you have the cojones to sit there and tell me with a full chest that somehow you are a competitor to this person? I mean, this organization? Cute. Real cute. You have no leg to stand on when it comes to the ARC, sir. They've been around way longer than your school has. They have served numerous consumers of a variety of developmental disabilities, physical disabilities, people with mental health issues, people with comorbid conditions, you name it, the ARC has served them, and not just in one area of the state, sir. And they've done so for decades without torture. Successfully, I might add. Okay? Sit down. Because guess what? That's one of the providers that the MDRI interviewed. To even sit there and try to say that you're in some capacity, some kind of competitor against the ARC that's special level delusion. That's Stan level delusion right there. Right there. To even think that you are even a speck on their radar is, God, you really do think a lot of yourself, don't you? It is true, however, that many students leave JRC after successful behavioral treatment for their severe behavior disorders and do very well at their next placement, which is usually less structured program. Oh, for not structured? Sir, I've worked with the ARC. I have had a very long, over a decade working relationship with the ARC. They are one of the most structured providers out there in this country, bar none. Bar none. Their structures have structures. I know this as an individual who's both received some services from ARC in the past, as well as having worked closely with them on things like the Employment First initiative and transition age programming, not just for autistics, but for developmental disabilities across the board. You, sir, have no leg to stand on. The ARC doesn't just help with the school-age kids. They help with building transition programs. They have built job programs. They have built secondary education programs. They have numerous homes of transitionary living for kids coming out of high school to have that era in between high school and independent adult life to learn a few skills that they need in order to go out there in the real world. You have no leg to stand on, sir. And their transition programs, their job programs, you can't even compete. You put them to work in the school. The ARC helps get those kids working out in their communities without a GED device threatening to hit them at any given moment. ARC places them in hospitals. They have, let's see here, since I've worked with them, they have placed people in colleges like Drury and MSU, and even helped place kids at Oxford, believe it or not, doctor. They've helped place transition age kids into college classes early so we can start to get a feel for it. That last 2 years right before graduating, I was a part of that program. They have community ties where they will go to work. Maybe if their landscaping is more their thing, they will help them work with and get them jobs within the city landscaping, in libraries, in mechanic shops. Fast food is I know what you think, doctor, but yes, some actually do enjoy fast food. So, hey, don't knock it. I couldn't handle it, but some people are quite happy doing that sort of job, and, power to them. Restaurants, they've put them to work as housekeepers, janitorial, welding, construction. It's endless, doctor, literally endless. They have built networks and programs with some of the largest employers inside the United States, as well as built relationships with some of the biggest state run and otherwise run universities and colleges, that it's impressive what they've done. When we're talking transition here, very extremely impressive. Oh, but it doesn't stop there. You want to talk about structure? They're not structured. They're not as structured as we are. Again, sir, really? Really? Because art doesn't just deal with these kids, but they become problems. Art deals with us at every capacity of our lives. Transition to transition to transition. They provide services such as community integration, particularly those of us who have issues with sensory, to help us be able to find the things that we need to be able to integrate into our community. That's CI. I had a CI, community integrators, so that we can go out and do things like grocery shop and what have you, and have the things that we need to be able to do so. Crazy, right? And you want to sit there with your full chest and tell me they're not structured. But about their group homes, they just dump them there and they just leave them, dude. Why would an adult who has already graduated need to continue in, well, what you call education? Why is it a horrible thing for an individual with a disability to be able to sleep in once in a while? You don't condemn neurotypicals for doing it. It arcs the bad guy because they allow him to sleep in. But they let him do whatever they want. It's called an adult life, doctor. Shocker, I know. It's crazy idea. I know, it's just completely out of left field. But as adults, we have the right to have full control over our own lives. And when time and our jobs allow for it, to be able to do whatever the hell we want to do when we want to do it without somebody with a clipboard and a shock device there. Oh, but that's not structured. You should be structured all the time. Doctor, I'm a human being. It is my right as a human being to be able to relax, let my hair down, and have fun once in a while. I mean, I know this is this alien concept to some of you all who work with services, but we also deserve to have downtime. That's what he's calling less structured, folks. What Dr. Israel actually means here is that by the time these kids become adults and go into these settings and be able to make those adult decisions, to be able to sleep in once in a while if they're not working, to be able to let their hair down and go out to a bar and watch a band. Well, for Dr. Israel, we shouldn't be able to be allowed to do that. No, we have to be up working all the time, wrapping those freaking popsicle sticks. Your idea of structure, doctor, is a joke. This is coming from an autistic whose whole life is literally structured, even my leisure time. It is that way, though, doctor, not because somebody insisted, but because that's how I, a fully capable adult, have decided to do things. Because it makes things easier for me. Yeah. A shocker, I know, but we do grow up, and eventually we're going to have to take control of and responsibility for our own lives. Many of these group homes realize this. And a lot of them act as a way to kind of prepare these kids for that. Oh, but they're less structured, and they just let them run wild and do what they want. I mean, they act like we're out there drinking and then driving it around and, I don't know, taking baseball bats to mailboxes. To sit there with a full chest and try to compare yourself to such a large organization as the ARC, and then try to make it sound like they're demonizing you because you're a competitor, is a joke. You have one school. They have offices and programs everywhere. To sit there and try to say, well, they're not as structured as we are, when their transition programs are literally the model for transition age services, is a joke. To sit there and try and say, but their group homes and their programs aren't as structured, when these kids, by the time they hit those places, are adults, and the ARC treats them like, shocker, adults. What can I say? You've got some balls on you, I'll give you that. The doctor here is trying to demonize programs like Easter Seals and programs like the ARC, major organizations who have provided services for beyond decades. Some of the oldest organizations in the United States when it comes to providing services for people with developmental disabilities, mental health issues, and physical disabilities. It does not even benefit them one way or the other. Let me put it this way, doctor. They don't have a dog in the fight, right? They're not hurting financially and therefore attacking you. This is not a political campaign. Nobody's electing the ARC or you. They are a service provider. A very large, very organized, very structured, and very advanced one at that. And what makes them so good is that the ARC does very much engage with the disability community. They encourage disability rights activism and advocacy, doctor. They actually hold conferences in order to help people with disabilities find more ways and capacities to be able to advocate for themselves in their ordinary lives. But that's the real bee in your bonnet, isn't it? Because the ARC stands there. This national organization that's been around since since the very beginning. For my God, they've been around. And during their time and their capacity, I have not seen any evidence at any point in time where they've engaged in using adversives as a part of any of their programs. Their consumers have gone on to graduate from some of the most pristine colleges. They've gone to create their own businesses and become self-employed. And no, I'm not just talking about an Etsy. Mechanic shops, landscaping companies, housekeeping companies, flower shops, bakeries. Their results cannot be argued with. Not even a little bit. What you don't like about them is they don't spurn us. They engage us. They talk to us. Is there something that they're doing that is ableist and it needs to be changed and we point it out? Instead of sit there and crying and playing victim and suing us into the Stone Age, they engage with us. Okay, okay. So what are we doing wrong? How do you think we can improve this? You don't have a leg to stand on. We're going to go ahead and close on that. We don't get very many views on this channel. The few that we do get do tend to get removed from time to time. So please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, and don't forget to hit the comments. I do appreciate your time. And as always, we here at Spilling Tea hope you have a good one. Bye-bye, everyone.